up guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be doing another tier list video. Today's topic is going to be Nintendo consoles, between the originals to the handhelds. Everything's on here. It's not that much, it's probably going to be a bit of a shorter video. We've got 5 sections. We've got S tier, which is the GOATs. A and B, pretty good. C, not that good and haven't played. There's only going to be one in here I haven't played, and that's simply because I don't even recognise the picture. So we're just going to get on with this. I don't know what that is, so I haven't played it. No point in lying. But it means we can just go straight on into it. I will also try to go in order of when these were made and brought out, because I don't want it to be everywhere. So obviously, with that being said, I'm assuming the one I just put and haven't played was the first one. It could be, it couldn't be. But the first one I have played is the normal Nintendo. This was actually... No, actually this is the Super Nintendo, because the normal Nintendo is here. Obviously you had the big massive cartridges and all that, had to blow them quite a lot. The normal Nintendo, like a lot of the Super Nintendo games that I grew up on were for the normal Nintendo, just obviously the colour brightness wasn't as good, the contrast wasn't as good. Normal Nintendo's an A in my opinion. Like, it matters my personal opinion. Now there'll be a lot of retro gamers watching this thinking like, no, Nintendo is the GOAT. I didn't play it as much as what I played the Super Nintendo. I grew up on the Super Nintendo. If it wasn't for a few people I know, I wouldn't even have got a chance to play the regular Nintendo. It was like just before I was born. So it's obviously classic. It has all the original Super Mario's on there. It has loads of games like that, but it didn't have the likes of... I don't think it had Mario Kart or Donkey Kong Country or anything made for this. So it's an A. Still has loads of classic games. Next up is the Super Nintendo. One of my GOATs. There's 2 on here that I think are going to be level for top 2. I couldn't possibly pick between them. The Super Nintendo is one of them. Like, honestly, see, between like Donkey Kong Countries are my favourite games of all time amongst them. Super Mario, Mario Kart, Contra, Super Bomberman. Like, it's just the list could... Zelda, the list goes on and on and on. It's endless. There was just so many games out there that you could just pick up and play at any time. Didn't matter what mood you were in, the Super Nintendo would literally be ready to go, and I absolutely loved it. What would have been next? I think Game Boy was next. Like the OG Game Boy. Oh well, regular Game Boy, no color. Game Boy, normal Game Boy, A. Obviously that's where your Pokemon Reds, Blues all came into play. Obviously lacking a bit of color because we weren't quite there yet. That was the first games I played on this. It had quite a lot of brilliant games, Pokemon Pinball and all. But Pokemon Pinball I played more on the color. So it's an A. I didn't actually have a Game Boy for that long, because by the time I got one, the Game Boy Color had already came out. So I got a Game Boy Color shortly after, and Game Boy Color is in the S tier. Like, the amount I played Pokemon Pinball on this, all the Pokemon games, I remember playing Gold and Silver on this, and I've said in a previous tier video, the Gold and Silver are like probably my 2 favourite original OG handheld games. I absolutely love the Game Boy Color. It changed the game. The amount of batteries you used to go through just trying to keep up. Battery packs weren't really a thing back then. Rechargeable battery packs. But I love the Game Boy Color. I really do. I'm trying to work out if any of these came... Nintendo 64 probably came out before the Game Boy Advance, I want to say. This is the other one that's level with Super Nintendo as one of my goats. The Nintendo 64, Banjo-Kazooie and 2, also joined with Donkey Kong Country. Donkey Kong Country is my favourite games ever. Super Smash Brothers, Pokemon Stadium, like Diddy Kong Racing, the best racing game ever made in my opinion. GoldenEye, without GoldenEye you don't have Call of Duty and all in my opinion. So it didn't have anywhere near as many games as the likes of the PlayStation they were competing against, but so many Nintendo 64 games are iconic. PlayStation has a lot of iconic games too, but like, don't forget, like, Nintendo 64 was working with a lot less, and like they had the big bulky system. PlayStation was a lot more sleek. It was using discs at this point, and Nintendo 64 just kept bringing like hit after hit after hit. It's up there with I don't think a Nintendo 64 or Super Nintendo will ever be replaced in my mind for the best console I've ever played. They're just absolutely amazing, and so many brilliant games. Only downside is I used to get such bad blister burn playing Mario Party, like with that Nintendo 64 controller, having to spin the control stick. But apart from that, it's all part of the fun. Apart from that, it's the GOAT. The Game Boy Advance would definitely be next. I'm putting that at S tier as well. I prefer the Game Boy Advance obviously to the original Game Boy, because obviously they brought out Donkey Kong Country remakes for the Game Boy Advance and all. We got to move into Fire Red, Leaf Green. Like we got Ruby Sapphire games like that. Like the colours were so much better than anything on a handheld we were ever used to. I just completely loved it. Like there's so many games. Like they remade all the Super Mario worlds as well. It's a little bit better than the Game Boy Color, just a little bit. They're still both unbelievably good. Nintendo DS before the Wii. I'm gonna do Wii first because I'm not sure on it. I would put the Wii. I'm gonna put the Wii at an A. Like I love playing the likes of Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games with my family. The likes of Mario Kart. I think Mario Kart Wii is arguably the best Mario game. It was the first time we've seen graphics that good. I've actually skipped one here. The GameCube should have been next, but I'll stay on the Wii. There's so many iconic games for this as well, and then see when I learned how to like jailbreak these devices and you could put emulators on this. This is the first console I ever put an emulator onto, and then I just went a bit wild with emulators. But yes, the Nintendo Wii is iconic. Obviously, playing Wii Sports and all, Wii Fitness. Sure, definitely did lots of that. But it was fun, and the amount of funny videos online of people throwing their Wii remotes at the screen by accident is just brilliant. Even to this day, it still gives you a good laugh watching it. The Nintendo GameCube, I obviously missed this out by accident. This is a tough one. There's lots of games I enjoyed on the GameCube, but they're definitely, for me personally, not iconic. I'm gonna put the GameCube at a B. That's fair, at a B. I mostly played wrestling games on the GameCube, the likes of WrestleMania 18, Day of Reckoning, WrestleMania 19, Day of Reckoning 2. I was mostly like the likes of Mario Kart Double Dash. I didn't really play that much. I know my cousin Jackie, he was obsessed with Double Dash. It's his favourite Mario Kart game. There's nothing wrong with it. I've played it on emulators and all since, but like it just wasn't for me. I wasn't moving off Super Mario 64 from the N64 on the Super Mario Sunshine. I just didn't think it was good personally. I just didn't like Super Mario Sunshine, but that's just my personal preferences. Like I did enjoy Galaxy for the Wii, so it just is what it is. Sunshine just was it just moved a bit too far away from the basics and tried to do too much too fast, but it is what it is. I did enjoy the whole how easily it was to obviously connect your Game Boy Advance stuff. Like obviously so easy just to plug in 4 controllers for this. And I actually really enjoyed the GameCube controller as well. Controller wise, it's probably one of the best on this list. It actually is the best on this list because like Nintendo's, I'll get on Nintendo Switch now. The regular Nintendo, like that's 3DS, so normal Nintendo DS, I'm going to put as A. My Nintendo DS went everywhere with me when I first got it. The remake of Super Mario 64 DS, Diddy Kong Racing DS, it was like having a Nintendo 64 in your hands essentially, but obviously it didn't grab that nostalgia for me, and I still think it was a missed opportunity not bringing out a new Banjo-Kazooie game on a DS or a 3DS. I think that was a missed opportunity. If it had the limitations and the specifications to make a Super Mario 64 game with 30 extra stars, it definitely had the limitations to make a Banjo-Kazooie game, a third game that we've all been dying to see. So I absolutely loved it. The whole using the stylus thing was a brand new feature. It was nice, it was cool. And as I said, I think it's because I took it so many places and I played the hell out of Soul Silver and Heart Gold, which in my Pokemon game tier list video, they were at the top of the list for the handheld games or the main series games. So it deserves to be an A. It's not S tier though, it doesn't hold that special place in my heart. I'm actually going to bring Game Boy Color down to A as well, because I just wasn't as into it as Game Boy Advance. I tried to convince myself there that they were close, but they weren't. 3DS, I've said this before in my Pokemon Alpha Sapphire series that's going to be going up soon. I played the 3DS like barely, but then seeing it on the emulator, I know it's an unbelievably good console. I'm going to put it in B, and it's not because it is a B. Trust me on that. I know it's an amazing console. So, but I didn't play it enough. I played it very, very briefly. I didn't even get to test it out to its maximum limit. But it's a very, very good console. On the emulator on this, it's a beast. The graphics in Alpha Sapphire are like unlike anything I'd ever seen before, and I know if I had played this when I was younger, I would have been about 20 when this came out. If I had played this at the time on a handheld and I had seen those graphics for a Pokemon game on a handheld, my mind would have been blown. So I'm gonna put it a B, but like if I had played it more, it would be in the S tier, I'm assuming, because it is probably way better than a Nintendo DS. The Wii U, worst console I've played on this list. They didn't do anywhere near enough between the Nintendo Wii and the Wii U. They didn't bring out enough new games, they didn't try out enough new stuff. They basically just made the Wii handheld, obviously, and it isn't what they needed to do at that time. I think that would have been when the Xbox 360 was moving to the Xbox One, PS3 to PS4. Like, there was major jumps in quality from everybody else, and they're just like, we'll make a handheld version of what we've done before. Wasn't good enough. If there was a D section above haven't played, it'd be in there, but we just put it as low as we can. Simple as that. Didn't like it. Not enough new games, not enough new stuff. So there we go. Nintendo Switch, this is obviously the console I'm actively playing now, so there might be a bit of recency bias in this. There's loads of very good games for the Nintendo Switch. I think in terms of like a gaming collection, I've probably more for the Nintendo Switch than I've ever had for any other console. But that's also because I'm an adult with actual money myself instead of getting my mum and dad to buy me games. Nintendo Switch, I'm going to put the Nintendo Switch at A. I think the Nintendo Switch is a very, very good console. But like, even with the level of hardware they've got, obviously you've got the handheld mode, the docking mode, like you still get games like Scarlet and Violet that can barely even run half the time. Like, the graphics aren't good enough, especially when you compare it to the likes of Sword and Shield that ran seamlessly. Like, there's still games coming out now where you're like, are they really maximizing the effectiveness of this hardware? I would say no, but obviously you have classic games like Mario Kart 10, is it? Yeah, Mario Kart 10. Obviously they've released all the map packs and all that for all the courses. It is one of the better Mario Kart games for sure, especially for all the downloadable content. You've got Super Smash Brothers, which is the biggest roster like ever seen on a Smash Bros game. You've got just so many games. They finally they released a sequel to Pokemon Snap for the Switch, so that had me right away. I am obsessed with the original Pokemon Snap for the N64. The Switch is in an A. It's not an S tier, but that's because I am blinded by nostalgia up here. And here sort of this consoles I know I love playing, but like I wouldn't sell my soul to get back to those days. As I said, like Nintendo generally do very good consoles, apart from the Wii U. In my opinion, remember it's my opinion, but I just didn't enjoy the Wii U. And I don't know what this is. This could be the best console on here, but I'll never know. I'll never play it. It looks funky. They can't even fit the whole thing into the screen. So, but that's it, guys. That's my tier list. It's not actually that long of a one today. So if you guys want to comment down below your favorite consoles in order, just what your S tiers would be. If you definitely disagree with any of my suggestions, just say, we'll have a constructive conversation about it. I'm sure I will reply to every comment because there won't be that many. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Do all that stuff you guys do, and I shall see you on the next one.